It's cold brew season, and Trade has you covered for the warmer weather months. Sign up for a cold brew subscription and get coffees designed specifically for making cold brew delivered right to your door. But how do you make cold brew at home? Well, for a limited time, you get a Hario cold brewer with your subscription for absolutely free. That's a $30 value. Just pour, fill, and chill and have your own cold brew right at home. Plus, shipping is always free. Go to unitedwedrink.com/trade to start your subscription today. Better coffee is waiting for you with Trade. The opinions and statements in this podcast do not represent those of the host's employers, coworkers, family, or imaginary friends. Now enjoy the show.
Happy hour? More like amateur hour. Welcome to United We Drink.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another new episode of the United We Drink podcast right here on UnitedWeDrink.com, as well as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever fine podcasts are found. My name is Mike Urevich. I'm here doing the intro all by myself because we have a guest on today's episode. We're joined by Sam Harriman, the owner and operator, head brewer of Sisyphus Brewing in Minneapolis. We're turning into a Minneapolis, Minnesota podcast. We have Tim. He's a Minnesotan. We had Eric Hild on last episode, who lives in neighboring St. Paul. He's a Minnesotan. I'm just going to turn into a Minnesotan myself, but that's probably not going to happen. I can't do that accent right. Sam owns Sisyphus Brewing, as I said previously. They are a brewery, but they're also really well known as being a space for stand-up comedy in the Twin Cities, and really even on a national scale as well. They've had a number of albums recorded there, specials recorded there. Michael Che came and performed on a random night there, a story that he'll get into and tell us about a little bit later. So it's a really interesting idea and concept in the whole scheme of tap rooms, where we tend to just think of tap rooms as a place to come and drink, maybe grab a bite to eat, hang out with people. But there's more to it at Sisyphus, with having a true another space with something different going on than what any other tap room is doing. Let's not listen to me talk about how that works. So let's get in to talking to Sam from Sisyphus Brewing. All right. So Sam, thank you for joining us here tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We really missed some riveting conversation in the recording process of this. That people are just going to have to take our word for it. It was the funniest thing that has ever happened on the show, right? Right.
Conveniently, all the best moments happen when we're not recording. I don't know why that is, but just
yeah,
but
I
we
was gonna
promise.
say the funniest moment is a pretty low bar, to be fair.
So, you are a fellow Minnesotan. Is that the correct? Tim is Minnesotan. Is
Yes,
right?
yes.
Born and raised here.
Along with Tim. Oh yeah. So you beat Tim even on that. Have you guys known each other for a while in the beer biz up there?
I think we met a while ago, but then you just came in a few weeks ago to
Yeah,
hit me up about doing this.
yeah. We'd cross paths, but he's not. It's not someone that I've regularly hung out with or talked with, but always known and kind of respected from afar, and always appreciated what Sam's doing over at Sisyphus. So, yeah. That's where it was kind of like, hey, this is going to be the perfect opportunity. Let's see if we can't bring bring Sam on the pod.
How did you get started into this crazy, weird world of craft beer?
The classic home brewer that thought he could do it, cash in their retirement, I'll go all in. Just yeah, 20. We started in 2014, so kind of the start of the wave here in Minnesota. We were number 62 in the state when we opened, and now I think it's like up over 300 here. But yeah, just the you've seen it 1,000 times.
It is a classic story. Yeah.
I feel like it's classic for back in that 2012 to 2015 days, and now we're getting we're not getting hopefully too many people opening breweries now, but in the later 2010s it was guy who has a whole lot of money because they did some Wall Street job and like, hey, I'm gonna open a brewery because it could be more fun that way, and they have no idea what the fuck they're doing, making beer or running a beer related business.
Yeah, I almost pine for the days when every single home brewer tried to get into brewing, because at least they cared about beer and at least people were home brewing. I don't think that exists anymore. Is anyone still doing that? Do we know?
No, I mean, we had two huge homebrewing stores here in Minneapolis. Northern Brewer and Midwest Supplies were both based here, and they're all gone. You can't even get. I have a friend that wants to do gluten-free brewing, and we were looking at trying to just get supplies. And everything's got to be ordered online nowadays, which I have to assume for homebrewing has got to be just a major annoyance.
And I hated when Midwest closed because they were right down the street from Unmapped, and if I hit, it's like, oh shit, we got shorted one bag of 2-row from BSG. I'll pick one up on the way home.
That's
Yeah, it was emergency supply runs were handy for that for sure.
Yeah.
We had one decent one here in Lake Worth, Florida, that didn't have a lot of stuff that you could really use. It was kind of more of a bottle shop that had some homebrew supplies that we used to go to. But I actually remember, I think it was Phil Palmisano, who I believe, I can't even remember when the last time we had an episode. I think Phil was on the last episode. And I remember like arguing with him because he used to get all his stuff from Rebel Brewing, the homebrew supply stop, I think it was called. And I got all my stuff from Northern Brewer. And we would argue over who had the better stuff. I felt like we were in gangs, and we were like, throw down. Oh, but they got this yeast and they got this. Those were the halcyon days.
Well, the original Northern Brewer was in St. Paul, I believe, right? And they Milwaukee, and they opened up a couple other locations, and they slowly just they started closing them back down. And
AB bought Northern Brewer, I remember.
Yeah, and Midwest.
They bought Midwest too? Okay.
Yeah, and then sold them off to a venture capital.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used Northern and Midwest like kind of interchangeably. I was just like based off of like pricing on stuff, like, oh, who's a little bit cheaper on what, and because Kevin said we had one that was nearby, and it's like those prices were just so crazy. I'm like, I'll just order online, and with the shipping or free shipping, like it's way cheaper for me to just wait for this stuff to come in.
They also had like the oldest yeast possible. Like everything was just old and out of date and unusable. It's also funny because Funky Buddha, a place I worked, had a homebrew supply shop that no one ever used. Like 6 people would come in a month, but we had the space and we weren't utilizing it, so we just had it open. And it was funny, as we were talking about that was not the first thing that came to my mind. The place that I worked was a homebrew supply shop, and I just forgot. I just plumb forgot about it.
I worked started a brewery here that they didn't know like yeast when they first started, so they would just go to Midwest and get like 50 vials of the homebrew pitch. And like the third time they did it, Midwest was like, hey, you gotta like warn us if you're gonna come buy all of our yeast.
Just fill their whole stock.
Somebody with a bunch of smack packs back in the cellar.
Yeah. They were like at Sisyphus one time in the back, and that came up, and I was like, "Oh, you guys know you can just like order that online or get dry yeast," and they were like, "Oh shit, we had no idea." It's just like that era, you know.
It really does. It perfectly encapsulates where all of us, I believe, came from, and so many other people, is that just really not knowing what the fuck we were doing,
Oh,
and just assuming like, okay, well, if we scaled up from 5 gallons to 15 this way, why can't we scale up to 15 barrels this way? This sounds like a reasonable thing to do.
for sure.
So, so your
go ahead,
first
Mike.
foray into the brewing industry was opening your own brewery?
Yeah, for a career, yeah.
Yeah.
So we started with a 2 barrel system. So not a huge leap, but definitely different than home brewing 5 or 10 gallon batch. Um, I kind of job shadowed for a little while with Jack Pine. He let me come up for a couple brew days with him. He was on a 3 barrel system, and I kind of like copied what he did to start. We had plastic fermenters for the get go. I mean, we had no loans. It was just no investors. It was just me. So we kind of did things as like affordable and cheaply as possible. And then once we got open and started making money, started reinvesting, switched to stainless equipment pretty quick. But yeah, just first professional batch that I brewed was in my own place.
Wow. And
That's
so
awesome.
what size system are you at now?
5 barrel.
5 barrel. Okay.
Yeah,
So
we don't
you have
distribute.
more than doubled the size of your brewery.
Mhm. We went from the 2 barrel plastic fermenters, and then we went to 5 barrel stainless jacketed fermenters, and then a few years later got the 5 barrel system. So we were double batching to not quite fill those fermenters for quite a while.
Hmm. And now you're 11 years old at this point in time.
Just turned
And
11.
congratulations. I feel like it's such a important point at this point because everyone's closing because leases are coming up. Like so many of those leases are coming up on those 10-year periods or those 5-year periods right now, and people are being like, we don't have the ability to keep on doing this for that long. So the fact that you hit 10 and you've gone past it is a pretty nice accomplishment.
Thanks. Yeah, it feels good. I mean, like the first lease was just a 5 year, and like even signing that, I was 27, almost 28 years old, signing like a $500,000 lease agreement. And it's just like, okay, if you trust me, I guess, like, you know best, Mr. Landlord guy.
Well, I think one of the things when you were talking about this and the size of the system and things of that nature, it's so interesting because I feel like there were a few people that were doing that around South Florida around the same time. I mean, even Funky Buddha started on a 1 barrel system in the back of a hookah bar, right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
But yeah, so it started small, but it started small with like the idea like the second we have any ability to expand this thing into a massive 15,000 square foot brewery, we're doing it, right?
Hmm.
And I feel like so many people, even my brewery, and I had experience, but not decades of experience. I had 4 years of experience in brewing and never really brewed seriously commercially. And we started with 10,000 square feet in a 20 barrel system. And I feel like that is so what everyone does now. It's just like, well, we're gonna start and we're gonna go after grocery stores and we're gonna go after stadiums. That's plan one. And the fact that you've in a competitive market been able to grow and do something in this, and it sounds like be successful. I I think more people should have followed that model.
Yeah, we definitely took a different approach, but I kind of had that mindset from the start. Wasn't to get big. It was truly just to create like a job or career for myself. That was my main sort of motivation, was to spend the rest of my life, or at least a period of my life doing something that I actually wanted to do. Sort of came from the corporate world before with like health insurance, and wasn't super enthused about doing that for any longer. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to build something sustainable that, even having gone through COVID, was able to, at the worst case scenario, at least pay my salary and give me, a source of income to do something that I love.
How did you find your space? Because so for Mike and Kevin, I really like the place where he's at. It's, I mean, would you even call yourself downtown adjacent? What would you call yourself?
Yeah, I always say just near downtown.
Right, but it's like it's very close to like the Walker and the sculpture garden. And you're walking distance to a lot of things. You're just on the other side of the freeway of downtown.
The
So it's
cherry and the spoon, if you guys know Minneapolis landmarks. Yeah.
so
No.
yeah.
But
You'll see it
I'm
sometime.
I pulled up the map and I see Spoonbridge and Cherry, like
Yeah.
right below where you're at, and you're right next to a tech college.
Yeah, so we chose the spot because kind of like 2013 when we were looking for the lead or for a space. It was that era of tap rooms where they were in like industrial, sort of like tucked away destination type spots. Um, this one really appealed to us because it has that vibe because there's just really nothing else around there, but it is like really accessible from a lot of different major freeways. Because we did go into it or I went into it with the initial idea of transitioning to sort of a comedy club business, which is mainly where our revenue comes from nowadays, is from running an entertainment venue. So we chose our spot for those reasons, and then also the sort of physical features of the location, the low ceilings, which are not designed for a brewery, of like 9 ceilings per a 2-barrel or 5-barrel. Obviously, can fit something in that in there, but comedy you want to create an sort of a lake sort of feeling. So this lends itself well to that.
Yeah, I've tried to explain to the guys that, I distinguish you from a brewery that does comedy, and that it's a completely separate space. It's a comedy room. It's reserved for that. Right? It's not like, oh, hey, here's the band where we have open mic night, and when no one else is doing anything, we throw some chairs on there or whatever. Like no, this is literally a comedy club. You're as much a comedy club that brews its own beer as you are a brewery that has comedy.
Yeah, and almost more so nowadays towards the comedy club that brews its own beer. I mean, I definitely think the way the market's shifted, that's that's become our identity, which was always kind of the plan in the long run. To be honest, like it was a sort of like that 11, 12 years ago, tried to think about what was the market gonna look like today, and with the way everybody was opening breweries. I knew wasn't going to be enough just to have good beer or a good atmosphere to get people in. You needed something else that was going to get people coming back. And there was a place here that kind of helped inspire it too, Harriet Brewing, which was I think the first tap room in Minneapolis. They used to do a lot of live events, but I would go there on like a Friday night at 8 o'clock, and you'd get stopped at the door, and it would be like, yeah, it's $10 cover, and it would be like, well, I'm just here to pay for beer. And they'd be like, well, it's live music, so you gotta pay to get in. And that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way too, where it's like, well, I want to support your business, but I don't want to pay for the thing I'm not here for.
Well, especially because
So the
they
two
didn't
spaces,
have like a really good space for it. Like you were literally just in the back of it's not like they even had like this grand event space there. I
No,
always thought
no,
it,
no.
yeah, I thought it was weird that they charged cover there too. That always rubbed me the wrong way.
We've been doing this podcast for a long time, and it's interesting to come across a topic that we really have not talked about. And we've talked about so many different iterations of like special events and beer releases and things of that nature. But this idea of an entertainment venue, and I come from one. The original Buddha was more of a hookah lounge and like open mic music performance space than it was a brewery. That's what it was originally, and the brewery was an add-on to it. And I dealt with, tons of open mics, and we charged a cover and things of that nature. And we dealt with a lot of the people that were like, can I just have a beer? Like, well, no, because we're doing this as well. And it's just not something that we come across a lot in South Florida, because we don't have a lot of venues like that and places doing the kind of things that you're doing. We are now at my brewery. We have an upstairs area that's basically like office space almost like a boardroom space that a good friend of Mike and I's actually is running comedy shows out of there now twice a month and being pretty successful with them. And we're trying to kind of expand that. So I love hearing your story about it. And I'm even more interested in, we love the beer aspect of it, but you're a home brewer. That's the impetus of this. But you said comedy was almost like the plan from the beginning. Are you a big comedy fan? Are you a performer? I mean, where did that come from?
I was doing comedy at the time. So I back in like I did comedy from like 2010 to like 2013, sort of leading up to opening this. And but when I was doing comedy, Surly, I quit my corporate job and was like, I gotta do something different. Surly gave me like 10 cases of beer, and I drove across the country, like out to the West Coast and back, and I traded, because beer trading was a super popular thing then. So I'd have all these shows in towns and then also meet up with beer people. And on that trip, I realized like nobody wanted to meet up at the comedy spots with the beer. It was like you meet up at the beer spot, trade the beer, and then I would go do comedy at the other venue. So it was sort of like, why can't these two worlds coexist? So I came back from that trip with sort of the idea of the space that I eventually came to create.
Are you still performing now?
No, I actually just did it the other day because one of our comedy clubs here is closing. Their lease ran out and the building got sold. So I just did it on Friday night for the first time in a few years, just to say goodbye to that place.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was
How
fun.
did it feel?
It was great. Yeah. So a friend was like, "You're gonna want to do it again," and I was like, "Nah, this is." And now I'm like, "Okay, I gotta."
You scratch that itch, and
Might
now
have to
you're
do
out.
that again.
And then if you do it at your own place, people be like, "It's nepotism."
Yeah, I have resisted that urge. I've done it twice for friends that were recording albums. They asked me to be their opener, so I did that for them, which was cool. So I get to be the voice on their albums, introing them and stuff. But
I mean, that's hella awesome too, to be a spot on a recorded album for a comedy. Like that's something that's gonna live on practically forever. Like so being that some comedy act was recorded at Sisyphus Brewing, damn, like that's pretty awesome.
Well, you've now been mentioned on the Tonight Show twice. Is that what it is, Sam?
yeah, we've been mentioned twice. Jimmy Fallon's held up our logo. Said, "Catch your
Cool.
next performer at Sisyphus." The comedians that were coming out. The one is actually just coming up. He's here at the beginning of October. So he had Jimmy shout us out like 2 months ago, and that's just how much this guy like appreciate. We pay 100% of the ticket sales to the comedians, so we don't take any of the cut. So we have like a good reputation in the community amongst the comedians as a place that gives people chances and takes care of people long term.
That's
Are you?
badass.
Yeah, that's really cool. Are you booking, or do you have someone that kind of takes care of all that and does that for you?
I am the booker now. I didn't do that for the first. I did it at the start, like right away when we were just doing local acts, and then when we decided to make the jump to doing national touring people, we had a local comedian do it for a couple years, and then a few more people have like stepped in. People usually don't kind of last long in that role because it's usually comedians that do it as like a side sort of thing. But then you become more booker than comedian, and then honestly, it kind of leads to burnout. So either you quit comedy or you quit the booking. And all the people I've had have quit the booking to kind of focus more back on the comedy. People just treat you differently, and every interaction becomes kind of transactional, is what kind of the stereotype is. So at the sort of like middle of COVID era, like 2022, 2021, I took it over and been doing it ever since.
And I'm looking at your calendar, and like you have stuff booked into next year
Oh yeah.
on here right now. Like this like looks like what you would expect when we used to see the improv calendar up around here.
Rest
You'd
in
see
peace.
it for way far out.
Yeah, I'm booking into April right now of next year.
How many seats is the venue?
90 seats.
Okay. Do you
Yeah, I
do
wish it
like
was more
service?
like 150, but
Do you do service there, like during shows, or how does that work?
we used to, and now we switched to the QR codes. So you just
Okay.
at each table QR code for ordering. We have a bar in the room too. You're free to get up and go at any time. We kind of have the host do a good job because some people are kind of like deer in headlights with when a comedy show's going on. They're afraid of like disrupting or getting bullied or heckled or whatever. Uh, so yeah, just make sure the host lets people know they can anytime go grab a beer or order on your phone.
So I do have to mention this, and I said this about my own brewery, and not to make this about me, but I can't believe we didn't think of the QR code thing. We've been struggling so much. We've got 60 seats that we can do upstairs, and we've gone from having like an external company booking this and maybe selling 20 seats to now, like I said, my buddy took it over and is regularly selling the 60 seats out. And
Nice.
we have struggled so much to get service to those people. And we have QR codes all over our brewery. I don't know why that has never come to anyone's mind, but I was struggling with texting my taproom manager as we are just talking because I don't want to be that guy to annoy him at the time we're recording. But I'm like, God damn it, QR codes, you moron. How did you not get that? So thank you. I've already gotten some
Oh
very
yeah, yeah.
valuable
Nice.
information.
Do you guys book like local comedians for your space, or what do you do?
So my buddy has been in the local scene for quite a while, and he's, built up a bunch of, local people that trust him and like to work with him. And he's like one of these people that does like, shows at this brewery or this event space or this bar with all
Nice.
these different concepts. Like one is like a riff improv kind of comedy set where they're just taking in like stuff from suggestions from the not like traditional improv, but trying to build a comedy set off of improvisation.
He does a
Stuff like
drinking
that.
spelling bee
Yeah,
at one bar.
that's really
Nice.
good. And so this all built off. This honestly all built off of my friend, and Mike was involved in it. We would do comedy roasts like at my brewery, just like for us, like our
Of
friends.
other beer people or friends, and it all private.
Yeah,
Yeah.
completely. My bachelor party, I didn't have one. I had a roast, and all my friends, including Mike, got up there and killed. It was so much fun.
That's
So
awesome.
my buddy Ryan started doing that, and he's really good. And he's very quick on his feet. He knows what he's doing, and he's really worked at it. So now we're getting a lot of some local people, but we're getting a lot of people that travel up from Miami, or even some touring people. No names that I know particularly, but people that he's like, oh no, this guy's good. He's really talented. He's got a following. So we're starting to build up a little bit of a name, but it's all them. We're doing none of it. We're letting them run everything. They take the money, they split it up the way they're going to do it, make sure that the people are taken care of.
Perfect.
And we're just happy to be involved. Everyone on this show, and I'm sure obviously Tim, we're all comedy fans. Like Mitch Hedberg's name gets dropped at least one joke in every single episode. Like it's something that we all love. So hearing about your successes in this and the fact that you have a passion in two different places and you've been able to express that's really cool.
Yeah, as unique as I thought this idea was, though, on the grand opening of Sisyphus, there's a beer historian here. I can't remember, it's Doug something. Tim, do you know that guy? He wrote
Yeah,
that book it's like Land of Amber Waters or something like that.
yeah. I can't remember his name either, but I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
A grand opening, he brought me a copy of his book, and I was giving him the tour, and our comedy room wasn't built out when we first opened. It was just empty space we were renting, and then as we made money, we finished it. So I was giving him that tour and showing him, and I was like, yeah, we'll be a tap room and then comedy club. And he goes, oh, like taps? And I was like, what's that? And he was like, oh, down St. Anthony, Maine. It's like our river walk area. Apparently in 2000 to 2001, there was a taproom comedy club in Minneapolis that lasted, 18 months. And here I thought I had this like totally genius idea that nobody had ever tried before. And he was just like, oh yeah, taps. Oh, too bad they didn't last long. I'm like, oh shit.
Well, I do
You got the
appreciate that.
last
Like,
laugh.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I do appreciate like. So I used to go visit my friend that bartended at Acme. Regardless of who was playing, because we weren't sitting on the comedy club side. We were sitting on the bar side. Like, Acme is a place where you can just go and hang out in the bar and not go. Now a lot of times we'd end up going into the show because we were there, or
Nice.
like Corner Bar that you mentioned, right? Like, it is nice that the comedy venues in this town have been can also just kind of function as a bar independent of themselves in a lot of ways, which is nice. But what you guys do is even more unique because it doesn't have to be driven like event driven. You're still getting plenty of people Saturday afternoon, well before a show at the brewery as well.
Yeah.
Well,
Less and less, though. I mean, as time goes on, to be honest, I mean, nowhere near what it was 2017, 2018. But yeah, it is nice that we have business outside of that.
Well, I'm sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
I was thinking back to going to you, Kevin, at the Funky Buddha Lounge, where a lot of times, yeah, I might want to come and have a beer there, and you had like a touring musical act, and be like, oh, okay, well, I can sit outside at the patio, and someone would bring me drinks. But when you guys got the homebrew shop next door, it was a space to be able to go and drink, have the beers while the acts were going on and not have to pay the cover on it. But I mean, sometimes there was some acts that, like, I saw Rich Voss there at the
Oh, wow.
Buddha. Like,
Nice.
I remember you saying, like, dude, he's coming and playing at our little spot, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm there for that.
We had a handful of good people over there. Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Because you guys did music, like I probably a lot more music than you did comedy, but having that separate option, I think is great because you get to double dip. Really, you're not really turning off one side or the other, and possibly leaving money at the front door. So, like the fact that you just from the start knew you wanted to have that separate space for that is just like it's not even hindsight. It's just fucking you had the vision into the future, sort of, and you didn't see COVID, hopefully.
Yeah.
If you did, you should have told us. That's all. I'm saying.
Yeah.
Why not?
That's on you. That's on you.
How did the Michael Che thing happen?
Just through reputation. He was in Winona doing college, like a speaking thing, not comedy. And then he decided he wanted to check out the Minneapolis comedy scene, so he asked around where he should go. And the New York comedians that he knew told him to hit us up. And so, yeah, like one Thursday morning, his manager just called the tap room right when I opened and said, Michael Che wants to come by. He's coming from Winona. He'll get there like 10:30. Will you stay open for him? I'm like, yeah, obviously, of course. And then he was late though, so he didn't get there till like it was like 11:15. So everybody was. We asked if we could put word out, that he was going to be there, and he retweeted, that he was coming. So then everybody's just waiting for him to show up, and so the comedians were like having to repeat or go back up to kill time. So it was like 6 people were like going back up to do like another like 7 minutes. One of the dudes that he also brews for me and hosts the open mic, he went up there to break the news that he was running like even later, and like so we're just like basically like it's gonna be like 15 minutes. He's gonna be up there, but go get a beer, go smoke, or whatever. It was just like chaos because everybody was like, "Oh, I don't have to sit here right now. I can go do something." It was just like so funny watching him like talk to this room of just like people getting up and leaving. Yeah, because he was just like killing that time. But yeah, then he showed up and he did almost 2 hours of comedy. It was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, like over 90 minutes. And then he hung out till like 3 in the morning too. It was just like super chill dude, like super nice. He like wanted to be in the green room with like all the local comedians and just talk comedy to them. So it's just kind of cool to see somebody at the highest level, like, remembering what it was like to start and give people that, were just starting out in comedy some of his time and wisdom.
God damn.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of a big deal. That's
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
And a big
Yeah.
IPA fan too, which is always kind of fun. A lot of comedians are sober and or a lot of them just kind of drink light beer. So when you get somebody that actually wants to try your beers and not just have a beer, that's always extra fun for me.
That's
If you
cool.
get somebody that really wants the barrel aged stuff, and they appreciate it. That's always kind of fun.
Isn't Colin hawking Blue Moon right now? Doesn't he have like commercials for that?
I believe so.
So apparently
Wait,
it's a trend with Weekend Update. We have the craft beer connection.
Well, speaking of Sam's beer, I'm actually drinking one of Sam's beers right now.
Oh yeah, we didn't do the whole what's everyone drinking thing.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm drinking this Fool's Gold, Golden Amber. I stopped in the other day and had a couple beers, and then I did not have this one, but I'd had this one on a previous trip, and so I decided this was what I was going to take home to drink during recording. And it is quite enjoyable. It is the right type of malty for this unseasonably cool weather we've had.
I got
So,
the same one.
Excellent.
Fool's Gold.
Great
Yeah.
minds think alike, apparently.
You're having some cool streak there.
Yeah, normally during state fair time, it's balls ass hot. Like this is the time of year where we lie to people and tell them this is what summer is like year round. 70s and pleasant. When usually, during the state fair, it's like 92 and 3,000% humidity, and the whole joke is the fair is the Great Minnesota Get Together, and then it became the Great Minnesota Sweat Together. Which I don't want to hang out and sweat with all those people. But it usually is completely miserable. And this year, for whatever reason, we've had lows in the 50s overnight, which is amazing. I can't remember. Well, I haven't slept with my windows open since early May, maybe. So, yeah, I say bring on all the Oktoberfests. As we mentioned last week, like Oktoberfest, we've now accepted seasonal creep to the point where people were mad that they weren't on tap in August when they used to get mad when they were on tap in September. So, but
What about pumpkin? What about pumpkin?
Yeah, well, that also exists as a thing in the world.
I am not supporting it. I do not. I will not vote for it.
I will
I get you.
acknowledge. I will acknowledge its presence. But yeah, no, this is really, like I said, I had it before taking a crowler home, but I do like that malty sweetness that this has without being too much of anything, which is really nice. And so
It's this is weirdly our bestseller.
Really,
Yeah, it shocks me, but
I always
don't know
love
if it's
hearing
the
about.
name or whatever, but the style descriptor, because we call it a golden amber ale, and you get a lot of old white guys that are like, "Well, how can it be a golden and an amber ale?" Like, well, it's a little bit of both, dude. Like, what do you?
Stop
Not that
overthinking
hard
it.
to understand. Yeah. Well, this doesn't fit the BJCP guidelines of any style I know of.
Get the fuck out.
I was just
Yeah.
gonna say that. Get the fuck out.
Yeah.
This isn't for you, sir.
well,
But yeah,
and
no,
you've
this is a great. I mean, like we'll have like a pilsner and like a light lager on tap, and normally those used to be our best sellers kind of thing with the comedy crowds. But yeah, this is like 2-1 to those. It's
and
crazy.
you've always had really clever, kind of cheeky naming for your beers. Right. Some of them are nods to their inspiration. If I could put it that way, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Um,
Always out of respect, never out of
yeah,
meanness.
I think maybe some people have misunderstood it that way. I remember some people getting annoyed with what was your Todd the Axeman
Isaac
homage?
Axman.
Isaac the Fax Man, yeah.
Which it's like, and then people don't know the like background or backstory. Isaac worked at Surly as a brewer with Todd, and then he came to work for me. So he like asked Todd, "Can we name? Are you cool if we name this beer this?" And Todd was like, "Are you even old enough to know what a fax is? Like, well, I don't care what you call it." And then it's like, if anybody that can get mad, it's Todd, and he said, "Go for it," But yeah, it's one of those weird things that people want to get mad about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
we used to have a Safe Lady peanut butter stout, which is the opposite of Dangerous Man.
I forgot about that one. I thought that was pretty clever.
And like that's like people didn't even get that one. That one's like was so obscure,
So you mentioned earlier that more and more the comedy venue is really what kind of drives business for you, and that was kind of the plan all along. But I'm interested in the fact that what I believe is so important to delineate the spaces. So what Mike talked about before doesn't happen, where you show up and like, oh, I can't go in tonight because I don't want to pay the cover, and then and then people don't come back because they're like, I don't know when it's going to be a cover, when it's not. It's confusing. So you did that. What is the crossover between your, let's say, more heavy, just come in to have a beer drinker, and your comedy fans? Is it are there a group of people that are kind of just bar fans of your beer and come in and don't really indulge in one or in the other, or do you find that you like hook people with the comedy and they come back for non-comedy shows? Do you have any kind of gauge on that?
Yeah, I would say it's pretty distinct crowds. Like there isn't a ton of overlap. The people that are fans of the beer and the environment, they might check out a show like once in a while, but they're only going to a show if I give it the sales pitch to them, like, oh, this, you can't miss this one, like this is going to be incredible, you got to go. And then they'll like trust my judgment on that and they'll have a good time. But yeah, it's weird. It's just like some people going to a comedy show isn't something that they do. They don't. That's not part of their routine at all. Um, and yeah, then the same goes for the comedy people. We have some comedy. We have one regular. He's missed 2 open mics in 11 years. Like, I mean, the dude is there every week. Biggest comedy fan in the world. I don't know that I've ever seen him there to have a beer. So it really is if I had to put a number on it, I would say 10% overlap of the people that kind of enjoy both sides.
So you're really running two distinct businesses.
For sure.
With that have an overlap in what you sell, obviously. I think that is a thing that most people that are trying to kind of like convert their space or find like, oh, maybe we can do trivia on Wednesdays because no one's here on Wednesdays, right? Or we can put an acoustic guitar player in the corner and then he can be there and then it'll take up 2 tables, but it'll be great. I think I think those can be successful. Obviously, there's tons of examples in the restaurant space and bar space where those work. But I do think that you really end up alienating people that are not there for that. And for me, and I'm moving away from the comedy aspect, but just talking about like live music, which is more prevalent in the beer space and the restaurant space, bar space. I hate going to a bar that has live music.
Yeah.
It takes away from my experience. People are like, oh, I love live music. Yeah, you know what? If Steve Earle or Bruce Springsteen come in, I want to listen, right? Like I'm game for that. But I don't want to just hear some rando playing acoustic guitar. That doesn't that does nothing for me. I'm there for the cocktail. I'm there for the food. I'm there for the drink. And I feel like for everybody that it brings in, it turns off 4 more people that are like, yeah, I'm never fucking going back there again.
Yeah, I really fail to see how that drives. How's that worth your money to pay the guy whatever he wants, $200 to set up in the corner? Yeah, those kind of things. Even trivia for me has always been one of those. Am I really making this back by paying you $250 to come here and do the, so I always kind of have that mindset with our events. The comedy makes it easy because it kind of like it sounds like the thing you do too is kind of like self-budgeting. If you only sell so many tickets, that's how much money there is to split, and you're not contributing or having to like outlay for that. But for some of the stuff, yeah, it's like why would I want that in this space? It's not going to add, it's just going to detract.
Mike, are you guys doing anything at Copper Point that's entertainment based in the tap room?
We keep on going back and forth on stuff. The trivia comes up a lot because it is super popular in bars in this area right now. But my boss looks at it as like, oh, it's annoying to the regulars. And it's like, yeah, it is. But if it brings in people, it's one of those things where you kind of have to, I think you just got to give it the old college try. But because the previous brewery that Kevin and I worked together, that owner was so hardcore against trivia, and eventually people wore on him enough, and the taproom manager wore on him enough, like, let's give it a try for a month. And they saw a huge increase in sales in the taproom on that day. And now that taproom was way bigger than the taproom we have here. So the ability for people to disconnect from it is way easier. So they're not just like in the middle of it. The speakers are just hitting their ears so much, but it really just depends on the space. Like we tried the whole put a guy with a guitar in a corner and let him play some background music, but it's like, yeah, we're paying this guy $200 to do this and be background music. We have background music that plays that we pay
Called Mr. Spotify.
those fees for every month.
And a lot of times that guy is a lot louder than background music, and kills people's ability to have a conversation. I think there's a balancing point. I think a lot of places worry about, I don't want to annoy my regulars, but sometimes your regulars are your most consistent customers, but they're not your best customers.
Yeah.
Sometimes your regular. Sometimes when you become too loyal to your regulars, you kind of. I worked for a certain brewery in Northeast that I felt like was really loyal to about 6 regulars, and unfortunately, a lot of times that's the only people that were in the bar were the 6 regulars.
Well, that's the extreme of it, right? Like if you get to the point where you're like kind of cutting off your nose to spite your face kind of thing, where you're like, well, I'm not going to even, dive into the pool because I don't want to piss people off. I think you have to have I think the experimentation is important. We did the live music thing outside, and I said, let's give it 6 months. I wanted a real large swath of time. It was on Wednesday nights. It was outside, so that if you wanted to escape it, you can go inside. And we just tracked sales. And at the end of the day, when you looked at the numbers, we were bringing in like an extra $150, and we were paying out $200.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to pay an extra $50 for ambiance, so we cut it off, right? But you needed to give a chance to grow, because maybe it would grow to a point where it would be self-sustaining and this, that, and the other. What I'm also hearing in our conversation is I think we also can go in the complete opposite direction. You open a brewery and it's just little pods for individuals, right? And then this one pod, there's like a guy like crunched up in a corner and he's doing trivia for you. And then the other one, there's a guy with a loud acoustic guitar, another guy's doing comedy, maybe someone's doing pottery. Do people do pottery? I don't know. They're doing that, and they're just these individual experiences.
You got to have the silent disco people like at the beer fest.
Someone's painting a growler with an ocean's theme and maybe a starfish, and everyone's happy.
Oh, paint your pet is really big here.
We have a paint. Paint your what?
Paint your pet.
That is animal abuse.
No, you don't actually paint. You don't bring in your pet. You bring in a picture of your pet, and they teach you how to paint it.
That makes a lot more sense. I was imagining a very different scenario.
Yeah, there always seem to be a few things. I mean, like a lot of places have a bags league, or
I think I
a
think
darts league, or things like
the
that.
the events like those that are self-sufficient are so easy to do. Like we have a monthly paint night, like things where the person who is putting it on handles all of the money for it, handles doing all of the setup and the breakdown for it, and like there's no money exchanged between us. Like we have a paint night person who is a former bartender at our place, and you pay to do it through her. She has like an Eventbrite link that you pay for, or you can do it directly with her in person. We are just the space where it happens at, and oh, you come up to the bar, you get a beer. Like those things are super easy, especially if they're on a dead night. So
I,
like what Kevin was talking about, like how they're basically hands off from those comedy shows, other than just making money off of people wanting to buy beers. Stuff like that is super easy. I've been trying to find other people who do stuff like that. Someone approached us about doing like making your own bonsai or teaching you how to like create bonsais. I'm like, this is kind of cool. Like I'd like to see it in action, but yeah, anything where the venue can kind of just be, we're here, we're a venue, and you run the show here. I think are great right now.
I think one thing we have here. So Sam has the comedy club. Like Ladonia has a miniature soccer field and has like soccer leagues there. So it's like completely separate. Uh, Minneapolis Cider Company has like a full set of like pickleball courts and holds like pickleball leagues there. Like we have these breweries now that came after Sam, but have started to see themselves as more of whether that be event or entertainment driven type of thing. But it wasn't really a thing. I mean, obviously, I guess taps or whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that either. uh, um, Although there's a lot of stuff on St. Anthony, Maine that has come and gone.
Yeah. Tragically. Such a cool area, but nothing can last.
Yeah. Well, I mean, is Procna still a thing, or is that gone now too?
That is gone, I believe.
Yeah, that was Minneapolis's oldest bar and dated back to like 1900 or something like that.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
And with Lost Palmers now too.
Yeah, losing Palmer's sucks. Uh that you know, that's a bummer of a situation. I stopped in and I saw Pat at Grumpy's, and I think he's, dealing with it the best he can, but losing institutions left and right, man.
Yeah, it's not good.
So, Sam, I wanted to ask you, as someone, and you mentioned open mic, and that wasn't part of the original conversation. We were talking about a comedy club. Obviously, it makes sense you'd do an open mic night. And you mentioned that there's a person that's been to every single one basically for 11 years.
Yeah.
Are you around a lot at night, or are you basically like running stuff in the daytime and you're not really there for like shows, or are you kind of there all the time?
Not all the time. I do bartend Thursdays. I've done that since we opened. So I'm there for basically every open mic we've had too.
Well, okay. So the reason I asked you this, you have experienced this much longer than I did. I bartended every open mic for 3.5 years at a place. And I got to a point, and I'm a cynical prick. I'm a bad
Wow,
person, right?
you're in good
Where
company.
where I hated every single person that walked up on that stage because I knew their act 100%. I knew every single punchline, every single everything. Some of the people were really talented, and I can look back and go, that was a really good bit, but I heard it a billion times, and I saw it from its like infancy and how they developed it. And some
Hmm.
people would develop new material, and other people would see, for 3.5 years, I told the same exact joke in the same exact order. How many times have you wanted to kill yourself in that particular situation? Or are you a superhuman and you just like, this is great. I love this.
There's so many layers to this question. Because nobody knows nobody knows that I'm the owner when they come in, especially for the open mic, especially if it's their first time. So, you got the sign up list on the bar. So I get my first like interaction with this person and how they treat me. You get this dude who comes in, this is his first time ever doing comedy. He's going to be famous in 6 months. Like, hey, get out of my way, man. Like, fuck you. Where I just want to sign up. Get me on that list. I'm going to crush. And so then I start to, really get ready to enjoy that. I don't want to kill that guy. I want him to go up there and eat shit because I'm going to really enjoy watching him struggle. But then also you get these people that, so our open mic is, I mean, it's insane to call it an open mic is kind of maybe a misnomer because we get 80 to 90 comedians signing up for 12 spots every week. And when you've got professionals that work at Acme, which is kind of a nationally known club, or touring comedians that are in town, 9 of the 12 spots are already taken before that list gets, even put out. So you kind of have this environment where people are competing for not that much. So you get, people that come in, they're really nice. They come in every week for 6 months straight. They don't get up. And then I get to know them because they sit at the bar and oh, you're a really nice person. I'll get you a shot, tonight. Like, I can't do that every time for you, obviously, but I'll make sure you get up tonight. And then they bomb. And it's like, oh man, like, it's going to be like 2 years before I can convince the host to put you back up. Like, but yeah, and with the material for us, it's also people treat our open mic as kind of like an audition. So there are some people that repeat all the time, and they're just not going to go very far. But thankfully, most people use our mic as, the professionals use it as how they should, which is they're kind of testing new material, but they're good enough that even if that's not hitting, they know how to like switch gears and work the room. And then sort of, kind of giving the like middle ground for the people that maybe aren't quite there yet as professionals, but will be someday. That's kind of where we really try to thrive and give people the most stage time because it's, it's a full room every week, an engaged audience, and it's the best spot to actually learn and get good.
Have you ever seen anyone like go on and become good that just started off doing an open mic at your place? Like, oh shit, that guy actually just open mic'd at us.
Yeah. I mean, I've never been like totally stunned by like somebody that just was terrible their first time. And then 3 years later, I was like, oh, wow, I was kind of wrong about that guy. Most people, I feel like you can kind of at least see some seeds in the beginning, or there's a stage presence. Especially with the great comedians. Like, we have people that 8 or 9 years ago they were semi-professional, but now one guy, his name is Jeff Asmus. He just sold out 7 shows over 4th of July weekend for us because he is just blown up. Like, and he does Acme too. And but even 8 or 9 years ago, I would have said this dude is just something he does on stage. As soon as they get that microphone, you're just in another world, and you just know what's going to happen, and they just do it. They have a special gift. That's obviously super rare, but
I think in answering my question very thoroughly, and I know you said there's many levels to what I asked you. I think what you're telling me is that, hey, I run a real comedy club with talented people, and I think the comedy club you kind of worked at / and you kind of sucked. But no, so
I've been around those.
Or
those
maybe
comedy
people
clubs
from
are-
Minnesota are funnier than
are
people
just
from
funnier.
Florida.
That's
Well,
no, I'm going to tell this story real quick, Tim, and then you can jump in.
no.
So there was a guy, the nicest fucking guy. He was an impressionist. He wasn't terrible. He did good impressions, but he never told a joke. The thing was his impression, right? And he was so nice and so respectful. And I was so over it after years of doing this. I was the head brewer, so I brewed all day, 5 days a week. And for a year and a half doing it, I didn't get paid. My payment was bartending to make money that I could live on, but then I brewed right? Eventually I got paid, but not very much. But anyway, that's my story. But so by the end of the night, I'd been there for 16 hours and I am just over it. And I've heard all this material forever. So this dude comes over to order a beer from me and he does it in his Barack Obama impression.
Oh God.
And I looked at him and it was the moment that I died inside. And I just went and put my head down and said, dude, can you just order a fucking beer? And and he looked at me and felt so bad. He had such empathy for me. He was embarrassed, but he was also like he's like, "Oh man, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll just have the white ale, man. I'm so sorry." And it was one of the most beautiful moments because we both saw each other in that moment, but also one of the worst because it was just like I don't belong here anymore. I need to go home. I need to, get a hug. I don't know what it was. But that was like to me the perfect moment of my open mic experience becoming way too much for me to handle.
Funny.
No, I was just gonna say the point of do we have funny people? Like, so when Sam mentions Jeff Asmus, you guys might not recognize that name, but I guarantee you, at least Mike, I guarantee you, he's been in your Instagram feed, or your TikTok feed, or your YouTube shorts or whatever. He's one of those guys that, you know how there's been this whole kind of revolution in stand up where, in some ways I like it, in some ways I don't. I hate how much it's like focused on owning hecklers and all of that annoyance.
Crowd work.
But you do have like guys that maybe you don't catch their name because you're just scrolling through your Instagram feed while you're doom scrolling and this comedy bit pops up. But he's one of those guys that's there, and there have been a number of guys that have popped up, and I know it's not the algorithm because it's Minnesota. I know this is like the national algorithm, but that I generally like, oh shit, that actually ends up being a Midwest comedian, or that ends up being a Minnesota comedian. So we do have a bit of those guys that have gotten recognition through that channel too, which is really kind of cool. And so like I've noticed even just Sam on some, when there's posters up at your place or whatever, it's like, hey, I couldn't have told you that guy's name, but I totally recognize him. I think there's enough of that around, which is kind of cool. That hopefully, I don't know. I mean, I also accidentally made an open micer leave mid set once, so he was wearing one of those fake Bluetooth things that was really just trying to pick up like things, and I wasn't like being loud, but I was like talking to my friends, and he had the most like telegraphed punchlines that I kept on stepping on his punchlines with my friends at the table, and I didn't realize he could hear me, and then I realized well, of course, who goes up on stage with a Bluetooth headset? Even in 2018 when people were still wearing Bluetooth headsets around.
Were they in 2018? Were
well,
they?
I don't know. Well, it was probably earlier than that. But anyway, like literally he stopped mid-joke once and said, "That's my time," and walked off the stage. And I felt moderately bad, but also not that bad because he was a really hacky comedian.
Nice.
Yeah, I've definitely seen this guy on YouTube before that you mentioned. Took me a little bit because GE OFF
yeah.
but so where do you see like the business going from 2025 on? Like, is the main focus still on, is it on comedy and hey, let's make some awesome beers for whoever wants them, whether they be here for the comedy or they be here for the beer? Where's the emphasis going forward on things?
We're still kind of trying to figure that out. I've been just like back and forth on a lot of like paths to the future. We have kind of a unique situation with our building. Our building got bought by the tech school that's next door last year or 2 years ago. And so our lease is technically up in January of 27. So we have a little bit over a year and a half left. But they basically said to us they're willing to extend us for however long we want to be there, up to 20 years. So obviously that's a ton of time. But I'm thinking we're like better off moving to a space where we could have a bigger comedy room. We're kind of at the point where the network we've kind of built up with comedians, we could definitely have 150, like 200 seat room and fill that weekly. A lot of comedians are we're at like a weird in between size with 90 seats. Like we're too big for sort of the local kind of smaller touring acts, but we're too small for a lot of people we get approached by. And there's really only one other club in town, which is Acme, and they've been there for over 30 years. So we think that best path forward would be at some point figuring out a new space, new location, a little more near people. I think that trend has definitely died. The whole destination spot or industrial tucked away neighborhood brewery isn't that doesn't pay the bills anymore. If we didn't have the comedy, we wouldn't still be in business. So I think moving into more of a nightlife sort of scene. I still want to make beer in some capacity when we move, or if we move in the near future. Because I honestly I hate bartending. I hate the day to day of that, but brewing is just, I don't know. In some ways, it's therapeutic. I mean, it can suck sometimes, but it is kind of nice knowing you have this task, and like Sisyphus, it's laid out before you. You just A B C D until the end of the day, and then you clean up and you go home, and then you come back and you do it all over again. And so I don't know what the balance looks like, or with extra capacity being available at so many breweries nowadays, would we just find a way to contract produce, or something like that, rather than build out a new brewery? These are things that I think about and don't really have concrete answers on, but definitely some combination of the two is what's made us successful, and is what I want to keep doing.
I mean, that answer is one of the most honest sounding things that I feel like I've heard from people, because so often you throw that out to a person, especially with you say a year and a half left on your lease, they're going to hold things close to their chest, and they're going to be like, well, we'll see how this, and you basically just opened your mind up to us and told us what's going on in there. And I mean, thank you for being
I'm an open book. I've put our financials on Reddit, and I've shared that multiple times. Here's what we've done in certain years, profit, loss, things like that. I mean, I'm just it's a one man business. There's not a lot of secrets. There's not a lot to hide.
Are you sure you're in the brewing business? Because I don't think you're in the brewing business.
It is funny on the Minnesota beer Reddit that gets to be, any community on Reddit, that kind of like insular becomes an echo chamber, and there's a whole lot of other things. And Sam is very refreshing on there, because he does, well, because first of all, you have a lot of people who think they know how the beer industry works on there. And they sure like to, for not owning a brewery, sure like to answer for how things are going for brewers. Did you know that margins aren't tight for beer right now? I learned that on the Minnesota beer Reddit.
Oh, good.
Okay, I gotta subscribe to the Minnesota beer sub.
We have learned so much.
No, I heard that. And
is that just in Minnesota or the Midwest at large?
No. Those brewers, they're making money hand over fist.
Oh,
they keep on raising prices to $9, $10, $11, but it's only costing them pennies. But there have been a handful of because a lot of Minnesota brewery owners have just said, "Fuck that noise. I don't want to like even go anywhere near that mess." And then there have been a few people like Sam that have been like, "Hey, I'm going to engage. Right, this is part of the community I'm a part of, but I'm also going to be kind of honest and not combative in any way, but also just giving facts." There was one thread on there a while ago where it was the state of the industry from an owner's perspective, and just kind of laid out like real facts about how like COVID loans worked and all that stuff. And it just like it keeps on getting referenced back, and a lot of times Sam's posts get referenced back of like, no, this is the reality of how things are, guys. Quit trying to paint it as something else. But for as long as I've seen Sam posting on there, he's been very much a straight shooter. So it doesn't surprise me at all that he would give a very honest answer.
I told you guys before we actually started recording that I had been up to Publix, and I don't know if you know the Sam. I don't know if they have Publix up north or if you know Publix. It's a big grocery chain down in in Florida, but in the Southeast in general. And so I was up there pitching them today, and when we were going up, I was with my partner, and we were just like strategizing. How are we gonna, a 3.5 hour car ride? We've been talking about it all week, and one of the things that I came back to is like, maybe we should just be honest and say like we're a 2,000 barrel brewery. We're not the biggest dog in the yard. We're never going to be, most likely. But if you want to be in the craft beer space, we're a good option because we had good sales momentum with you at one point, and it changed for reasons beyond our control. And we're just here going, hey, we make good beer, and it might resonate with your people. Instead of going in there and going, well, we're the biggest brewery in the history of mankind, and we are just as visible as every other, macro brewery in the world. And I think it's refreshing to hear someone be kind of honest about their situation. And I think we could use a little bit more of that. I think it would be really, really nice to experience it. So I really do appreciate your transparency.
Nice, thanks.
By the way, Kevin, if you take my placements in Publix, you're dead to me.
I'll be honest with you, Mike. The first thing I said up there was, listen, bee squeeze. We're taking every one of those motherfuckers. I will give you $100 cash for every one of those pogs that we get. But and then I said, hashtag,
You hear that,
fuck Mike
Florida Alcohol Board? Because I know they listen to this.
Well, I do think it's interesting. Our industry is so built on perception, and it shouldn't be. It's the same thing that we raged against forever, is like this perception of like who you want to be and who you want people to view you as. And at the end of the day, we're not that. So why can't we just be us and sell ourselves on what we are good at? Because I can make a really good argument that Barrel of Monks fits in a grocery store set. It's not the best argument, and someone can, definitely, counter that. But if we just kind of say who we are, we might be better off in the end of the day. Maybe not everybody, but the people that actually have something to sell, that actually have a good product, that have a good idea, a good concept that's unique, I think we'll be better off.
Yeah, I think authenticity goes a long ways nowadays.
I mean, you have a beer called The First Beer We Ever Named. Like,
not ever. The first beer we named.
I love that.
It was the first beer we named. Not to be confused with the first beer we distributed.
We used to, one of our friends used to be a co-host on this show. His name's Joel, and he's a brewer. And he was at a brew pub for a bit and brewed a beer. I don't remember what it was called, what the beer was, but the taproom manager texted him asking what is the name of the new beer, and somehow he replied with just some random string of words, and the taproom manager put the beer is called Joel Said It's blah 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 blah, and so that became the name of the beer.
That's awesome.
That's
Well,
a story. That's good.
He also named a beer 1-star Dougie because some guy came in on their soft open and ripped it apart and was like, "These guys really should have done a soft open." And it was like, "Hey, dumbass, you're at their soft open." And the dude's name was Doug, and so he named one 1-star Dougie. That to me is my ultimate favorite pettiness, which I think is brilliant.
I also love just silly names like the first beer that we brewed, or like something
beer
like
we
that,
named, yeah.
and that's just I will come up with names like that, and people will be like, "Well, they're not going to get it." Like, who fucking cares?
Yeah, they don't need to get it.
Yeah,
It's not for them. For you.
they're going to order it. They might not get it, but they're going to order it. Like, if someone's not going to order a beer just because of the name that they feel uncomfortable because they don't know it, like, forget that person anyway. They're a lost cause.
We had a good beer name. It was we had a mural on the side of our building, or it's still there, but it's been tagged so many times now. But the first time it got tagged, we made a video, and I guess in the graffiti world, toy is like a big insult. But one of my bartenders was like huge in the graffiti world, and he was like, "You got to call this dude a toy." And I was like, "Nobody will know what that is." So we came up with, we called him an ass toy, and we made a video. It went viral, and then like all the local radio stations had me on in like the afternoon to like talk about it. So I got to go on the radio and talk about our new beer, Ass Toy, that's going to pay for the mural restoration.
I remember that. I forgot about that. That is
That was so
hysterical.
long ago.
Also, you're talking about the mural, like sounded like a Hedberg joke. It's like we had a mural. I mean, we still do, but we used to too.
But we used to.
Well, I tagged that one. Everybody was outraged, and we did a fundraiser to get it fixed, and I could afford to get it fixed. But like 3 weeks later, it got again, and then it was like, okay, we can't play this game. So it's just like now, it's just like, yeah, it's just not what it used to be. It's still there. It's still kind of cool, but I've been tagged like 6 times now. Can't have nice things.
That's true.
I feel like that's a bigger Florida thing. Like you try to put anything up nice, and I think through all of our time traveling and visiting breweries elsewhere, one of the things I always say when I go into some places that would never work in Florida, like seeing merchandise like out in the open in so many places where it could just be stolen. Like so many breweries just having like no, people steal the shit out of that. Barrels in tap rooms, like we've had people reach and grab bungs off of barrels at breweries I've been at and go, "Oh, there's actually beer," and they're like, "What the fuck are you doing? Why are you touching that?" Like
you got the tasty nail on the side, and they pull that out.
They pull out a claw hammer and they're like, "What's in this? Your nail's not in far enough. Let me hit that in there for you."
I used to feel so bad for Ryan at Eastlake, right there in the Midtown Global Market, which is this big indoor international market, and his barrels were literally there. Were like, a family of 12 that doesn't speak English and isn't going to the brewery, but he had space outside of the brewery where his barrels were, and kids are climbing on it, and like, one time I went in there and someone had the in the bung, the pressure release, the pop out had pressed it all the way in, so it was in the barrel, and like people like I don't even know why he attempted to do barrel aging in a facility like that, but yeah, I guess what I'm saying is the Midtown Global Market is the Florida of Minneapolis.
On our,
Never been, but I get
opening,
it immediately.
So when we first opened, our budget, I was out of money. Like, and the construction guys were like, locks for the doors are going to be like $3,000 or something. And I was like, okay, I don't have that. So like, we just got to roll with no locks for the first little bit. And the front door had a lock, but none of the internal doors did. And so we had our like grand opening, and then at the end of the night, one of my bartenders was like, "Hey, there's something weird in the storage closet." And I was like, "What is it?" And he's like, "Yeah, I think you're just gonna want to come look at it." And a homeless gentleman had gained access to the. You guys aren't gonna believe where this story's going, by the way. He had gained access to the storage closet and put our plunger up his butt. And you might wonder how I know that he did that, but if you had seen it, you would be like, yeah, somebody put that
Best
plunger up
story on this podcast ever.
I
so
will
it's like-
say
Yeah, go
this is coming from a person who knows how to set up a punchline. When you did the aside, you don't know where the story's going. That's a professional, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
I did
And
not.
my architect sent an email to the construction company like the next morning. It was like he was at the grand opening. He was there for the whole thing. He sent an email that was like, "You guys need to find it in your budget to put locks in for Sam. Unspeakable things were done in the storage closet last night." And I remember talking to my architect too about the locks. He was like, "Well, you just got to come up with the money for the locks." And I was like, "What's the worst thing that could happen?" You know, like everybody, it's gonna be so busy. Like there's gonna be so many. We're gonna know like almost everybody here. Like what's the worst thing that could happen?
That would
And,
not
yeah,
be on my
never wrote
list.
it. No,
No.
no,
Could
no.
anyone just mosey on in and just go into that closet?
Yeah,
and the
I
great
remember
thing is,
kicking this guy out because somebody came up to me and was like, "Hey, that guy keeps asking everybody for money," and I was like, "Oh, that's." And he was wearing one of our shirts too because he had gone into a closet where you could just get shirts. There's no locks anywhere. So he's like, "Yeah, man, you need to leave." And then, yeah, sure enough.
I like that you have become the poster child for the necessity of locks in this general geographic area. Let me tell you a story. It's about a little brewery called Sisyphus.
Oh my goodness.
I would have honestly been in the same place as him. Being like, who's going to be lock checking every door in here?
I am so glad you said that, Mike, because when you said I would have been in the same place, I thought you were talking about being inside.
Yep.
Oh,
I thought that's where you were going.
I mean, who hasn't been at a brewery grand opening and thought, "Hey, I wonder if there's a plunger in one of these closets"?
Yeah.
Who hasn't stole a t-shirt, gone into a closet, done an unspeakable things, and then gotten kicked out? I mean, listen, we've all had Thursdays.
okay. Not a plunger, mash paddle, maybe.
Oh God.
Those have handles, you monster.
Oh God.
Okay, I think we've just closed the show out.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've got one last question for Sam. Who would be your dream get for an act?
I mean, like all time, I'm like a Rodney Dangerfield, Norm Macdonald. They're like my top two.
I saw
Right.
Norm Macdonald at Rick Bronson's
Really?
years ago. He was so drunk he made no sense.
Oh shit.
Yeah, we saw him at the bar before. I was there with a couple of friends, and we hung out. And we talked with him. We took pictures with him, and he was totally fine. But he just kept drinking and drinking, and then like he had like 2 openers, and by the time and like we saw him like leaning heavily on a column at Rick Bronson's talking to someone like, "Oh, Norm got toasty," and by the
Oh,
time he got
no.
up on stage, he was unintelligible. It was funny for all the wrong reasons.
That
Yes.
sucks.
So who else?
Nowadays, somebody I'm trying to get back. His name's Sam Talent. He's hilarious. He's like kind of hooked in with like he's got his own podcast. It's really popular called Chubby Behemoth. Just one of the funniest guys I've ever seen. Like he's just like a presence on stage. He's got like a bit that he comes on stage and it's just like hey, what kind of porn do you watch? And just like points at people and like makes them answer. And for whatever reason, people will answer, and it just creates like the most. And then whatever comes out of that situation, he just is like incredible with it. He's also like an author. He wrote a book called Running the Light. I think it was a New York Times bestseller. It's just about to get released with or his second book's about to get released with a big publisher. But he's like one of those guys, we've had him like 4 times over the years, and him and I just Facebook message. That's my only way to talk to him. And it's days between replies, and like we're just not quite big enough to get him back. But maybe as a favor, he will one day. Like the stars will align.
I like that your, dream guests are 2 dead people and a person you've actually had. Like, I think you're doing pretty well. You know what I mean? Like, the first 2 ain't gonna happen unless you can do a seance. And the other person actually came in. That's awesome.
I mean, I do know this up and coming act. He does this thing with the plunger.
It's conceptual. It's avant-garde,
yeah.
and it's in its ideation.
All right,
Mike.
so I think it's a good place as any to get into last calls, the point in the show where we give each other an unspecific amount of time to talk about whatever it is that we want, beverage related or not. The only rules are that we're unobjected, unopposed, uninterrupted. I said that, I think, in the opposite way that I normally do, but whatever. Normally, we let our guests go first, but I have recently realized that people who have never been on the show or never listened to the show don't really understand it. So putting them on the spotlight first is probably not a great thing to do. So I'm going to throw Kevin under the bus first. So you go first.
Oh, wow. Okay. So wasn't expecting that. What I will tell, this is a public service announcement. Leash your fucking dog when you go out of your house. Now, I know there's at least 2 dog owners on this show right now because I saw a dog in Sam's background, and I know Mike has a dog. And I know this might be, insulting in some way, because some people, they take their dog out in their front yard and their dog stays right with them, right? They're right there with them, and they don't need to because their dog is so well trained. Here's the thing. When I'm running in my neighborhood at night, there are multiple people who are like, my dog stays right with me, until they fucking don't. And then they run under your feet and you fall on your face and you hurt yourself. Leash your goddamn dog, because at the end of the day, it's more safe for the dog. It's more safe for all the people around. I think there's some kind of base level macho thing with people where it's like, well, I don't have to because my dog stays right with me. It's like a hunter-gatherer culture kind of deal. It's like, no, this is my dog. My dog's with me, and they're going to stay with me, and I can like give it maybe I say a German word, and it's like they heal and they stay there. And I understand that can happen. My dog is a fucking spaz. My dog tries to lunge at every other human and squirrel and everything else going around. But in general, when you put a leash on your dog, you're not emasculating yourself. You're not changing the thing much for the dog, but it really puts them in a safer space, and it doesn't put them in any kind of danger or anybody else in any kind of danger to have a tiny little dog run under your feet where you fall and smash your face on the concrete. I'm not saying that has happened to me, but something very close happened to me recently, and I had to scream at a neighbor for doing just that same thing. So, leash your fucking dog.
Amen.
Sam, do you wanna take a hit at this?
Leash your fucking kids. I very much wanted to go there. I'm not of the leash generation. I have seen some.
My wife was leashed as a child.
Oh, honestly, I took my daughter out to dinner the other night, and there was a kid that needed to be on a very short leash and maybe not wrapped around his hand, but somewhere else. I'm not advocating hanging a child. I want to make that abundantly clear. He just needed to be fully restrained with a harness and not climbing on everything. My last call is about loving your children though and
Oh,
taking care
Tim's
of your
gonna go.
children.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you said Tim.
I said,
You- oh,
Oh, I thought
Sam.
you said Tim too.
did I? Oh, did I? Oh, okay. I'm wrong. I'll say I'm wrong.
I don't know.
I thought I said Sam,
They're
but maybe
similar
I
sounding.
didn't.
Well, they sound the same.
Maybe I'm mumbling and
Okay,
Go
well,
ahead,
yes.
Tim.
Then I'm going to go. No. So I really didn't want to get into it a whole lot, but it is something that is just heavy on my mind today. Obviously, at the time of recording this podcast is the same day as the mass shooting in Minneapolis. I one of the victims is 10 years old. My daughter is 10 years old. As of late, I've been really grateful for all of the little moments with my daughter. My daughter, I found out like very subtly all these things that she's really picking up from me that I didn't notice, that I didn't think that she did. Like one of her favorite bands is the Beatles. I was a huge Beatles fan growing up, still am. Her favorite sport right now was basketball. That was my favorite sport growing up. She likes to watch fishing videos on YouTube. Which, that's something we probably do just about every other weekend. It's so funny to me how, as a co-parent to a child, and I can see like for so much I could see how much she's like her mom, how much she's like her mom, how much she's like her mom, that I haven't necessarily noticed all the things she's picking up from me or all the ways that she's like me. And so I've been really noticing those a lot lately, and today really just kind of hit home, just like, I guess, just how important it is to treasure just the little things, right? We talk about making big memories together, and I always want to make big memories, and I always, tell my family, don't buy her presents, buy her experiences. I want memories to be a thing. I like taking her backpacking and and all these trips, but to me, as a kid, right, I remember the family vacations. Um, I remember the experiences. But what I really know kind of made me me and how much I would like are all the little things. The time that I came out of my room dressed for church in a navy polo and khaki pants. My mom walked out of their bedroom and just started laughing because she knew on the other side of that door was my dad in a navy polo and khaki pants. And how like embarrassed that was, but how much exactly alike we are, and all those little things. Those are the things that I remember. Um, and so I don't know. I feel like we tend to have these things where we want to have these big moments, these big memories, and these big trips, and these big whatever. But life is lived in the details, and the minutia is really kind of what matters more than anything. And today, especially as that hits home, and realizing how precious everything is. Just taking time to step back and appreciate the little things has been really huge for me. So, enjoy your big experiences. Please live life to its fullest. But living life to its fullest doesn't always mean big gestures, big events. Sometimes living life to its fullest just means appreciating the day to day, the things that you think aren't the fullest or maybe the most authentic moments that you have in your life. So, sorry to be a downer, guys. Also, leash your fucking kids.
Thanks for that, Tim. Sam, you want to go ahead?
I think, along with what Tim said, reflecting on the tragedy here in Minneapolis today is something I try to advocate for, which is, destigmatization of mental health treatment. A big part of why I named the brewery Sisyphus is because of my own personal struggles with depression and anxiety and fear for a long time of getting help for those kind of things because of the environment I was raised in. And I think it's just something that will take time to change, but is important for society, which is if you're struggling mentally, knowing resources and people you can trust. And part of that is by society accepting that people aren't always going to be at 100% or even 75%. And admitting weakness isn't a fault. It's just part of being human. Um, and so whatever role you can play individually for whoever is in your life that you think might be struggling, you don't know what impact that could have long term. And that's at a bare minimum, the least you can do for somebody is be a resource. You don't have to be the solution. You can just help guide them towards something that might help them.
You're here.
Here on that. Uh, I I feel silly following such heartfelt things like that, but I just want to give a shout out to like small time tradies, like independent people working in trades, um, because like those people have helped me out a lot over even just this past week. Uh, Having a person come out and work on my AC, and showing me what, like being like, hey, you look like a person who uh, cares about the maintenance of your things. Let me show you what you can do here, and explaining to me and showing to me how things work, and then having car work done on my car today for just a tire sensor. That's all I needed. I had my dealership do that for me last year, and they charged me fucking $400 to change a tire sensor on my car. I took it to a small little independent auto body shop that has been around for like 60 years that I found on Reddit through recommendations of locals. $120 for changing the tire sensor, including the labor. Found two nails in my back tires, which obviously didn't get picked up because my tire sensor stuff was down. Filled those, gave me an oil change. All that I walked out spending was $250, still less than what I was charged for changing a tire sensor at a dealer. Never go to your dealer unless it's a warranty thing. Uh, we have one of our friends married a person who is a contractor who has become our contractor now as a just independent guy who does home improvement stuff, and we love him to death. Like, these people help you out by providing quality work at good prices, and they make communities stay together in a lot of ways by fixing stuff. So support your small little indie tradies. These people work fucking hard to make a living for themselves and to allow you to live as well. So please do support those people. Sam, do you want to plug anything?
Check out our shows, sisyphusbrewing.com. All sorts of shows, great ones coming up. Winter is kind of our peak season. So those are when the best comedians come to town. A lot of the shows will sell out, so get your tickets early.
Throw out some names.
We got Ian Fidance coming. He's really well known for podcasts. Laura Peak, she was on Jimmy Fallon. She was the first one to get us the Jimmy Fallon shout out. We've got Tommy Brennan. He was the second Jimmy Fallon shout out. Local Minnesota guy. He's great. Trying to think of. Oh, and Jeff Asmus will be back for New Year's. He's doing 4 days for New Year's, 8 shows. So those shows, last time he did the 4th of July, they sold out 4 months in advance. So when those get posted, get those right away because he will sell out every single show and it'll be insane.
Awesome. Kevin, you want to plug anything?
Sorry, I had to clear my throat there. So we're coming up to September, which is the season that we start our Wizard in Pink, which is the beer that we do for Making Strides Against Breast Cancer, where proceeds go towards Making Strides, which is one of the best charities ever for breast cancer research. And I always say research because it's not just awareness. We're not just trying to raise awareness. We're trying to raise money for research and for treatment and for traveling budgets for people who are actually getting treatments. And we do this beer every single year. And it's something that we release in early September. It's available from September through October. Any Wizard in Pink sales and draft or in cans, we donate proceeds directly to Making Strides, which is a wing of the American Cancer Society. But more importantly, if you're listening to this, you're probably not in South Florida and you probably can't buy the beer because we're only in South Florida. So fuck the beer. Go to makingstrides.com and just donate. Donate some money to Making Strides because they're one of the best charities for raising money for something that's so important and it's touched so many people. And we would really appreciate it.
Tim?
I want to plug the city of Minneapolis. Talked about getting you guys to come visit. I love this city, man. It's part of what makes today so heartbreaking, but I love this city. Come visit. Go see the Spoon Bridge in Cherry, which, by the way, Mike, same artist that does the clothespin in Philadelphia.
Oh, really? Okay.
Klaus Oldenburg. I believe he's
Okay.
Swedish. Yeah. Anyway, same guy. He does the shuttlecocks down at the Nelson Atkins in Kansas City. Like he's known for a lot of these giant things. But come see
the
Spoonbridge.
surrealist big
He,
things.
it's yeah, and so
Not surrealism isn't.
Yeah, I
mean,
I
if
knew
I
you were
saw
going.
a 20-foot shuttlecock, that's pretty surreal to me. But
That is true. Plus, it's just fun to say shuttlecock. But yeah, no, come visit our city. Come see our lakes. Come see our our downtown is kind of going through a little mini renaissance. Kind of suffered there during COVID, and it's actually starting to bounce back, and you're seeing some great things. Go see a show at the Guthrie. Go walk through the Walker Art Center. The Minneapolis Institute of Arts. I always have to be careful because I always feel like it's going to say Minneapolis Institute of Farts. If you say
that,
it too
that's the
fast.
next block over.
Honestly, in that neighborhood, it probably does smell like farts about a block over. But even though these comedians are dumb and think the best time to come put on a killer show is in the middle of winter, I don't know why they would want to come visit, but it is when
That's
people
crazy.
do. But come visit our cities. I'll take you fishing, whether it's on the water or on the ice. I'll show you guys, and I don't mean like just you guys. All 7 of our listeners, please come hit me up.
Kevin's dad. The invitation is out there.
Kevin's dad, you are welcome to come visit me in Minneapolis. I'd be happy to show you around. But I'm really proud of the city, and when we go through something like we did today, I love the resilience of the people in the city and how much we do genuinely care about each other. So yeah, I'm gonna plug Minneapolis.
I just want to thank you on behalf of my father because he was just waiting for your invitation. He wanted to come. He was waiting for Tim to say, "Jim, come on over." So
yeah,
thank
Jim,
you
please.
Thank you on his behalf because he's not too far away. Mike and I are very far away. My dad can get over there pretty quickly.
Yeah, Jim, come on over. I'll show you around. I'll take you to some breweries. We can get some fishing. We can catch some. Well, I'd like to call it baseball, but after what the Pohlads did, I don't think we can call it much of anything. Side note, shout out to Toronto Blue Jays for holding a moment of silence before the game today. I thought that was really beautiful and classy. So thank you, Canada, for being what we expect you to be, as always, which is super polite.
Just thank you, Canada.
We might have to be thanking you a lot in the future, so we'll just
If-
start it.
if
Sorry,
you'd like
sorry,
annex
Sorry?
Minnesota, please.
uh, I want to get up there sometime for sure. I would like to come during state fair time because I fucking love fairs, and seeing Dave Berg posting about it, all the beer stuff at the state fair on Blue Sky got me like, I didn't know that it was even more of like a big deal with beer, like that breweries make beers specifically for the fair. Like,
Oh, yeah.
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and then what really sucks is when you get at a shitty venue and you have to take 80 kegs back. And then you're like, how the fuck do I move through 80 kegs of blood orange IPA through my tap room, even though it's very popular? My distributor oversold this. Yeah, but yes, no. Every year it's a wackier and wackier and wackier. Like this year, there's a beer that is soft serve ice cream as a beer.
Well, listen.
Wait, is it in soft
predicted-
serve form or is it soft serve flavored in beer
no,
form?
No, it is in soft serve form. It's served on a cone.
Okay.
Okay, we need to get out of here, but I do want to make sure. You just mentioned soft serve ice cream beer. Tim, you predicted soup beer on this show several weeks ago, and it came to pass within hours of you making that declaration. You are a genius. You are a visionary, and we need to go out on that note. It's what United We Drink has suggested and given to the culture.
Oh God.
Well,
Good
on
night.
that note. Wait, quick, Tim. Lotto numbers.
Oh God, do you think I would be here right now?
4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42.
Oh boy. Powerball is actually at like the highest it's been in years. So if those numbers that you just spouted off win, Mike, you're the new Svengali.
Oh, they're the numbers from Lost. Your buddy Jorge would know that.
That's true. That's true.
Thank you so much, Sam, for coming on and joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been a
Nothing
pleasure,
but-
Sam. Thank you so
but
much.
Success, hope for you. Like, it's such an awesome concept. The concept's a dumb name. Such an awesome business idea that you
Thank you.
have made happen up there. And yeah, I really hope that bigger and better things keep on coming for you.
Thanks. Good look at your spots too.
Thank you. One more time, a big thanks to Sam for coming on the show and telling the story about Sisyphus and letting us all know about a different space, how his brewery has decided to stand out from being just, a brewery that makes beer with a tap room. It's really refreshing. If you want to check out Sisyphus, you can find their website, sisyphusbrewing.com. That's SISYPHUS brewing.com. They're on all of the socials as well, so be sure to check them out, follow them, and next time you're in the Twin Cities, go visit them. Maybe check out a comedy show or an open mic there. As for here, thank you everyone for joining us. If you want to follow us, we are on the socials as well. We're at United We Drink on Blue Sky. We're at United We Drink Pod on Instagram. We're on Facebook as well. Our website is unitedwedrink.com. If you want to support the show financially, you can go over to our website and check out the Brands We Love page. Click on any of those links and buy something, like from Trade Coffee or Made in Cookware. We get a little bit of a kickback from that, and that helps us pay for hosting fees. We also have shirts, buttons, stickers, totes, and all of that over at our website, unitedwedrink.com/store. Other than that, we'll be back in a couple weeks with another new episode. Thank you, everyone, for continuing to come back and listen to us talk about stuff and things. Cheers.